Jessica, hello, Jim Delapine here. I want to do a video for you to give you some additional guidance with this. So first of all, I see that you created a number of adjustment layers for the background to kind of help bring Todd out. And if I hide them, I see that it looks more like daylight. It looks like Todd fits more into the scene. I understand your reasoning for this to help Todd be more of the hero, so to speak. But I think my choice is this way, okay? But I'll leave that up to you, okay? But I just think that it looks better without it. So a few tips here. I want to, first of all, I need you to clean up your layer masks, okay? So here's what I'm talking about. If I have my move tool active and auto select selected or checked and click on this element here, the body, and then alt click on the visibility icon. I hide all the layers except that one. I see that there is some debris down here that's overlapping onto the shoe area. So let's see here, the right foot here, and let me alt click there. So here's what's happening. You need to go to the body layer, select the layer mask, and go to the paintbrush tool. I mean, it's not much, but it's you want perfection. So selecting the paintbrush tool, black is the foreground color, making sure you're at 100% hardness. Go in there and just clean up this area here. All right, you may have intentionally did that or done that for a reflective look, but if not, that's what you should do. And then also for this part here, it actually doesn't look bad. It looks like it could be a reflection because this is kind of a reflective surface. So you may also want to do this with the uh, actually I'm suggesting that you don't paint on the original image. So if you create a new layer on top of that, control or command click on the thumbnail for the layer mask to make that layer mask a selection, and then on that new layer, with that new layer active, paint with black. So if I hit D, it's the default black foreground, white background, and then Control H would hide the selection. It's still an active selection, but it's hidden, so you can see better. And now with this smaller brush, you can click and just shift click along here, just to kind of like make it look like it's going into the foot area there, whatever it is. All right, just very, very carefully do that. Whoops, let me undo that. I'm just clicking and shift clicking in little areas in short distances, but you could also just, manually paint it because it's an organic kind of shape. So, okay, so something like that. Yeah, okay, so now you have control because you have it on its own layer. And it kind of looks like it's more into that area there. Now, let's talk also about other areas that need that. So if I go in here, let's see, I noticed some other areas here. Let me just, first of all, you have to remember, I always forget, to deselect because it's a hidden selection. So if I go to this layer here, and that's the hat. So here, where is it? There's an area, I think, it's not that area. There's another area here where it looks like it needs some cleaning up. Yeah, see, this is not a clipping mask, so it's affecting all of the underlying layers. But since you have a selection there, it's only affecting that element. And it's the arm element. No, it's not. It's the body. Okay, so here it is. All right, so now let me click here. All right, we fixed that. I thought there was another area. And the hat. Let's make the hat a little larger because it's more effective if it overlaps the R. All right, it's better designed. Plus, it looks a little awkward. So let me just hit Control T with the hat layer active, and then I'm going to change the origin point. So the center of this selection, I'm going to click and drag it like right here. Now it'll scale out from that point. So if you click, start dragging outward in the corner, and then hold down Shift to constrain it and Alt to scale out from the center point. All right, so now it's a little bigger. Now I'll hit Enter to apply the transformation, and then it's now overlapping the T here and the R here. So it's just better design. Okay, so now I want to give you another challenge here. I want this woman here bothers me. All right, so let's talk about removing her. All right, so if we go to that background layer, all right, I'm going to alt click on that to hide all layers except that, so we can focus on this. So what we have here is a woman, and we're going to use the the quick selection tool. All right, and I'm going to get a little bit of a larger brush, maybe a 6-pixel brush, and then click and drag to put a selection around her. All right, and we include the hair, clicking and dragging, and here. All right, so we have that selection selected, but more is selected. So if you now hold down the Alt key or the Option key if you're on the Mac, and click and drag in here, it will subtract that. But the value is pretty close, so it's a little trickier. So you may want to undo that and click again, click and drag again. All right, so it's not working. So to get more control, you can decrease the brush size. So I decreased it down to 2, and now I'll add the leg in here, and that's a little better. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go into Quick Mask. Okay, so all you have to do is hit the letter Q. We're going to use the Quick Mask to paint the selection to make a better selection. So hit the letter Q, and now it should turn red. All right, to access the options for Quick Mask, just double click on this icon right here, and then the Quick Mask options dialog box will come up. So if we check masked areas and hit OK, and then go back to Q, everything else but that will be selected. Okay, so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So I'll go down to selected areas again and hit the letter Q. All right, so now what you're going to do is paint. All right, so with your paintbrush tool and black as your foreground color, you're now painting in the areas that you don't want. All right, so you don't have to be that particular, that exact with this. So notice up here there's too much, so I'm going to make white my foreground color and paint out this sign. Okay, so now when I exit it by hitting the letter Q again, I have a selection around her. It's a fair selection, and it's enough to make it work. Now what you're going to do is go to Select, Modify, Expand. We're going to expand her out. You're going to expand this selection outward by around 5 pixels. So I'll hit OK. And that actually did the reverse. What's going on here? I have the inverse selected. You see that? Everything else but her is selected. So let me undo that. All right. Now, notice everything. See this selection around here? That means everything else except her is selected. I want to inverse that selection. So Shift F7 inverses it, and now only she is selected. All right, so now let me zoom back in. I'm hitting spacebar control, and now we're going to go to Select, Modify, Expand. We'll expand out 5 pixels, and now the whole selection expanded outward 5 pixels. All right, so the next step, which is to fill it with content aware to pick up the background, will be more accurate and will pick up less of the surrounding area. All right, so let me zoom back out and hit Shift F5. Shift F5 will bring up the fill dialog box. By default, it'll say content aware. I'll hit OK. All right, and it did a fair job, but not the best job. This is a complicated thing to remove, but let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so now I'll deselect, and now what you want to do is you basically want to, I did review this with you before, all right, but basically you want to surround these other areas that you want to have repaired. So I'm going to select this area here, Shift F5, Shift F5, okay, and there. All right, the shadow definitely needs removing, so I'll put a selection that's kind of tight around that. With the lasso tool, if you hold down the Alt key after you start drawing, you can click, click, click. So I want to stay fairly tight to that. And I notice there's a crack in the sidewalk that will probably disappear. So now Shift F5. All right, and so we have that. Now you can also, that crack is not a big deal, but just little areas here that you may want to get rid of. But here, just to make things simple, let's just do this. You could also, you can fiddle with this. You can continue to work with this. This happens to be a particularly difficult one to make work. All right. So Shift F5. Yeah, you see, you're always going to have an issue with this. But let's see if we can. Let me alt-click here again to show all the layers again. Let's see if we could just cheat a little bit and hit Control-T with the background layer active and scale it out a little bit. Maybe jump it up a little bit, scale it up, and then move it up, something like that. That's a way around it, work around. Okay, so yeah, something like that I think could work. All right, so aside from that, I think all is good. It's up to you if you want to make that darker. It's your choice, okay? But aside from that, you did a great job. All right, take care.